everyone, it's Paradise, and the highly anticipated and brand new MMORPG just had a ton of new information drop for it, and some people are skeptical while others are hyped. But with the new footage and details, it's looking like it could be insane. The cool thing is these details are concrete facts straight from the devs themselves, and it answers a lot of questions that people have been wondering for a while. Chrono Studio, the developers behind Chrono Odyssey, dropped a massive deep dive interview covering the game's world, its systems, its combat classes, the works. So don't worry if you've missed it, I'm here to break it all down for you. First off, if you're wondering when you can actually play yourself, the good news is the closed beta is set for June. There's no exact date yet, just June, but you can sign up on the Steam page right now. Alright, so let's jump into what is making people so hyped for this new MMO. I myself have been looking for an awesome new MMO world to get lost in ever since Guild Wars 2 launched back in 2012. The feeling of exploring a fresh new world with new mechanics and things that wow you. And Chrono Odyssey looks like it just might bring back that feeling, not just because of the visuals, but also the time manipulation mechanics, and now we've got a clearer picture than ever before of what the world will look like. According to the devs, this isn't your standard fantasy setting. The world is called Cetera, a place where the past and future literally collide. It's got pleasant natural environments like lakes, forests, and mountains, but then you've also got massive otherworldly entities wandering around that defy logic and physics. It's part fantasy, part cosmic horror, and it's built entirely in Unreal Engine 5. The devs specifically mentioned that Unreal Engine 5 wasn't just chosen for the visuals, it was also chosen to help them realize a world that's both beautiful and chaotic. They've used it to render incredibly realistic forests and terrain, but also the surreal, warping landscapes caused by the dimensional invasion of the Void. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out given the scope of the world, it being multiplayer and of course running on UE5. So hopefully it works together without issues, because there have been a few games that have suffered from trying to do massive open world games in UE5. The fun thing is, for the world, they have drawn inspiration from some of our favourite things. They've mentioned that they've drawn inspiration from Prometheus and the Zerg from StarCraft for the otherworldly entities. Meanwhile, the time manipulation mechanics were first inspired by the devs' love of Chrono Trigger. The world is meant to feel oppressive and beautiful all at once. It's a place you want to explore, but one that also kind of scares you. And yes, it is an open world meant to be fully seamless, so think minimal loading screens. Now, if you have played Chrono Trigger, or maybe even the OG Prince of Persia games, you'll have high expectations for time traveling mechanics. Well, Chrono Odyssey isn't just putting chrono in the name for the sake of it. The time mechanics are baked deep into the gameplay. The devs newly revealed a core mechanic called the Chrono Tector. This is a time manipulation device that we use as players to peek into the past or future to unlock hidden paths, solve puzzles, or even reconstruct areas in real time. It doesn't stop there though, as you might also be able to use the Chrono Tector in combat as well. Some people in the community are speculating that it might be used in combat to do things like time reversal to snap back to a previous position in combat, or to recover HP or mana if you make a mistake. Although this isn't officially confirmed, it would be cool, and we can see it making sense that a mechanic like this would function in combat in some way. There are also time portals in the world, where you step through and shift into a past version of the environment. There's meant to be different enemies, resources, and entire layouts when you go through. It's a great way to find rare crafting items and to uncover parts of the world's lore as you explore, as this is meant to be a big part of uncovering lore and details of the world. The devs have also integrated the time and space mechanics into the exploration and puzzle solving, so if they pull this off properly, it could be really cool for a new MMO experience. Now, I've always been the kind of player who plays for the combat but enjoys dabbling in those side activities like gathering and the crafting mechanics. Sometimes they really give you an edge and even help you get rich in MMOs. Furthermore, we all love a good story, but sometimes in MMOs they can feel like a chore and get a bit in the way of exploring with your friends. Well, one of the big design goals for Chrono Odyssey is letting players choose how they want to play through the game. There is a main story, but it's not a linear questline. Instead, players uncover it through exploration and through use of the Chrono Tector. So you'll be investigating ruins, piecing together lore, and then revealing echoes of the past. So instead of the usual MMO story flow, in this you'll be wandering the world, finding lore fragments, unlocking dungeons, fishing, exploring, and uncovering secrets, all at your own pace while gaining XP and leveling up. Furthermore, the game features what looks like pretty good mobility for an MMO, allowing you to climb, mantle, and parkour. We can literally see a character going full-on Assassin's Creed through a village. There's even gliding, as we saw an archer traverse along a wall, so traveling around in this world looks pretty fun. You'll even discover pieces of the main story yourself by using the Chronotector to visit ruins of the past, catch glimpses on how the world used to be, and uncover new quests. Also, the game will not hold your hand. The devs have said they want players to make discoveries for themselves, so there'll be minimal UI markers and quest pathing. They're aiming for something closer to the feeling of Elden Ring, not directionless but rewarding if you pay attention. Furthermore, they've said that in an MMO, they don't believe players should need to be in a party all of the time. Solo play is both a part of it and in some instances required or encouraged based on the different activities available in the game. You can level up by fighting monsters, but you can also hit the max level without ever entering combat. Gathering, crafting, bounty hunting, puzzle solving, and more, they all give you XP. The director even pointed out that most MMOs aren't friendly to players who prefer non-combat activities, but Chrono Odyssey is trying to change that. You can see it in the gameplay examples too. Gathering animations look decent, and the progressions from gathering seem seamless. This game really leans into the freedom fantasy with less UI and more immersion, rewarding you for being curious. Now, when it comes to combat in MMOs, I have to admit static tab targeting and typical MMO rotations and skill bars are getting a bit stale for me. Newer games with true action systems, parries, and counterattacks are becoming more popular, and honestly, they're becoming more my kind of thing in games. Well, again, this is where Chrono Odyssey is hitting the mark. Combat is slower, weightier, and far more about skill. Players get to equip 2 weapons at once and switch between them in real time, and this isn't optional. You will need to switch weapons to survive elite boss fights, especially early on. The devs have even said they've designed bosses specifically to push you to use both weapons, otherwise your cooldowns will wreck you. Also, swapping weapons doesn't just give you new abilities, it also gives you different passive buffs. So there's a tactical reason to choose the right weapon for the right moment. The devs have also created the classes in such a way with the weapon swapping system that the healing classes are more like hybrid classes that allow them to progress through content while playing solo without being at a disadvantage. Every class is meant to be viable in solo play, meaning there's more flexibility than a traditional MMO role system. So if you want to play a healer, don't worry, you should do just fine while playing solo. There's also parrying, dodging, and animation reading, so when playing in multiplayer you won't be as reliant on healing if you can dodge and parry well. The sword-based classes in particular seem to lean into this with a heavy focus on blocking and countering. Speaking of classes, picking a class in an MMO is always one of the hardest choices to make. It can make or break the game for you, lead to hundreds of hours of wasted time if you change your mind or don't click with what you picked. Well, the devs have confirmed there will be 6 classes in total, and each class seems to use different weapon sets, although they didn't give the exact details in the interview on what weapon sets there are. Each class looks like it has access to different and unique weapons, but you can only have 2 available at any given time while equipped. For the classes, we have the Swordsman using sword and shields. This is your classic frontline hybrid. It's shown parrying and blocking in different footage. The Berserker will wield axes for heavy offense and big chops, and the gameplay looks to highlight fast, aggressive swings. The Ranger is equipped with bows, which has an emphasis on high mobility and agile positioning, offering flexible ranged engagements. The Assassin is fast and flexible, using close-range blades and possibly firearms. It's shown switching between melee and ranged in gameplay footage, so it will likely focus on hit-and-run tactics. The Paladin appears to combine defense and utility, using a spear and shield, and it suggests that there's some protection abilities, while the Sorceress focuses on elemental and magic-based attacks. The gameplay shows large AoE spells and ranged casting, so this is likely the purest caster class of the 6. In the upcoming beta, only the Swordsman, Berserker, and Ranger will be available though. At the end of the day, MMOs are all about the content, what you'll actually be doing minute to minute, day by day as you play. And an interesting thing about Chrono Odyssey's game design is how it's focused on small group play. Dungeons are for 3-player teams, while world bosses are for multiple 5-player parties working together. So there won't be massive 40-player raids, at least that we know of. It's possible that they're only outlining content available in the closed beta test or what's publicly available. Furthermore, the devs have emphasized that they want every class to be able to play the way they want, solo or in a group, without feeling locked out of content. But they did say that in Dungeons, players will take on unique roles. Here's a quick rundown of the content that has been announced by the devs so far, and we expect there will be more activities revealed in the future. There's Chrono Gates, which are solo 1v1 duels versus Void Apostles. Think of a Souls-like boss, it will require animation reading and precision. We also have Trials, which are puzzle-based tower progressions with randomized rooms with traps and puzzles built around the time manipulation mechanics. There's also Expedition and Group Dungeons, which are made for 3-person parties where each player has a flexible role. There's Region Bosses, which are like world bosses that need multiple 5-player groups to take down. There's Labyrinths, which are puzzle mazes for non-combat exploration, which ends in a treasure room. There's Time Portals, where you shift into the past or future to find rare rewards and new lore. There's even PvEvP, where you can fight other players and the environment and enemies. And finally, you have Bounty Hunting, an open world system that is meant to guide you as the player into new areas, giving you a solid overarching target as you explore and discover new things along the way. But what about the gear? The thing you chase, the thing you spend weeks farming enemies to get stronger for? Well, we've seen in the developer interview gear with physical and magical defenses, critical resistance, even dual sockets, prefixes, and more. Equipment also has PvE and PvP stat weighting and bonus traits. Furthermore, because Chrono Odyssey supports full non-combat progression, you don't even need to engage in combat, dungeons, and fights. You could just go gathering and crafting and trade your way up to endgame. Although you can also get gear from beating enemies too, it sounds like whatever style of game you play, it has you covered. It looks like crafting is in some way integral, so for those that love their own in-game side hustles, these will likely do well for you. Furthermore, gear has an enhancement system, but it wasn't fully explained. The devs said they've reduced the RNG failure though, which is great given how tedious those systems can be in other MMOs where you repeatedly fail to upgrade your gear. Now we're super excited to get our hands on the beta and actually play the game. The first closed beta test is dropping in June, and here's what we know will be in it. The 3 classes, Swordsman, Berserker, and Ranger. Solo content including Chrono Gates and Trials. Group content including Expedition Dungeons and Region Bosses. And open world zones to explore for them to gather feedback on. The devs have reiterated this is not a finished game, it's a way to gather community input, fine-tune their systems, and shape the future of the game. Personally, we think Chrono Odyssey is looking really cool. It's ticking all of the boxes for what makes up a fun game, and we've been waiting ages for a solid MMO. Hopefully this is not a rug pull and it's actually a solid game, and it certainly is shaping up to be one of the more interesting MMOs in development. Not just for the visuals, but because of how deep the devs are rethinking the different gameplay systems. Time travel isn't just a gimmick, it's also part of exploration, combat progression, and storytelling. The game is, however, being published by Cacao Games, a name that might raise an eyebrow if you are an MMO veteran. While Cacao has handled major titles like Black Desert Online, their track record does raise some concerns around pay-to-win monetization and post-launch management. The devs have stated that Chrono Odyssey will be buy-to-play, which suggests a different model here, but it is still worth keeping expectations in check. That said, the closed beta test is just the beginning. They have long-term plans for regular content updates, new regions, classes, dungeons, and more in the future. So tell us, what are you thinking about the game now that you've seen this full breakdown from all that information from the devs? Are you excited for the beta? Are you cautious because of the publisher? Drop your thoughts down below. Here at Arix Gaming, we're 2 friends who love to play games. You have me, Paradise, as well as 26.
Our goal is to keep the videos as concise as possible by cutting out any of the fluff and focusing on what really matters with high quality videos.
So make sure you're subscribed down below for more videos on your favorite games coming very, very soon.